All right, welcome both of you. I appreciate you taking time out of your evening to join me. Tonight, we're going to build a Galaga-style retro shooter game. You should be able to see my slideshow on your screen right now. I've got a folder to share with you. If you would like, you can play along. I've got a practice file and resources for you. Let me show you what is in here.
Where is this located? Was this in that post?
Can you see my slide on screen?
Yes.
It's a tinyurl.com/Galaga storyline.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is right here. Yeah, so I'll have the URL again at the end, but it's tinyurl.com/GALAGASTORYLANE. Hopefully I spelled storyline correctly. That is a tiny URL that will bring you to this Dropbox folder. Can move that out of the way here. So I've got two storyline files in here, the raw files for you. I got a partially built one and a fully built one, so you can see how I did it. If you want to just kind of have the pieces to make it yourself, that's here. I've got a step-by-step guide that I'll pull open in a moment that I can walk you through how to build it. And I've got this very PowerPoint in here if you want to have this for any reason as well. You are welcome to any of these files under Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 license. If you want to share them, there's instructions in there on how to give credit. If you want to share or reuse, whatever, just use it according to the terms of the Creative Commons license. Okay, so that's there for you. And of course, I wanted to show you exactly what it is we are going to look at building tonight, in case you didn't have a chance to look at this yourself in the announcement. I originally built this like literally 7 years ago at least, and I've had a few iterations since. So this is one of the original iterations. I was just screwing around with storyline, and I wanted to see if I could make something fun. And what usually happens is you learn to do something silly with storyline, and then you figure out how to use it for more serious purposes, or at least you learn how to use more advanced features of storyline, like variables and triggers, things like that. So the idea is this is a really simple version of the old arcade game Galaga. If you're familiar with that. I don't think I shared my audio, but you click on the little spaceships as they come down, and you want to keep them from reaching the bottom of the screen, basically. So they move at differing speeds. Got to click on them. It makes a noise when you click on them. The score goes up as you click on them. If you don't click on them, there's an explosion noise for each of them. You only have three lives. Maybe lives isn't the best word for that, but if 3 of them go past the bottom of the screen, then the game is over and you can play again. I had a tweet thing built in there. And that's basically the whole game. It is, I'm pretty sure it's unwinnable, but you never know. You can make, your own difficulty level if you want to make it harder or easier. It's totally up to you.
I was wondering about that, if you could time the little ships coming down for older people like me.
Yeah, you can slow it down. Yeah, you can slow it down. I can't even think of, how did I originally think? I don't know. Anyways, yeah, you can slow it down. I think the original version was a little shaky. As I built it with storyline 2 and we're on to storyline 3 now. And there's actually, I think, a glitch in the end where you couldn't actually win it all the way. So not that you could anyways. So eventually I realized you can use this kind of format for learning. We're all into games for learning these days. And the way I ended up reusing this after, screwing around and taking a lot of time figuring out how to build it, is I created something called the VIP game. So when I created this, I was a librarian at Cal State Fullerton. I was teaching a lot of people how to do APA format, which is really unexciting to teach and unexciting to learn. And one of the ways you learn to do APA really well is by practicing it a whole bunch. And one way to practice it is to practice individual pieces of how to do your final references. So my idea was that students, university students, cite a lot of articles. In your article citation, you always have to put the volume, issue, and pages. It needs to be formatted in a certain way. I could never remember exactly how to do it, which part had to be italicized, which part was in parentheses, where the comma went. So my idea was that I could actually repurpose this space shooter game so that instead of spaceships, you would have good and bad VIPs, which stands for volume, issue, pages. And your job is to click on the ones that are not formatted correctly before they reach the bottom. So the idea is that this is like a drill and practice game, or trying to make this task a little bit less boring by gamifying it. So this is a good use of a really simple game and storyline, you know, according to me, because I built it out. So the idea is you click start, let's go. Same thing, you got score and still lives here. I put a good example here as well, so it was really clear what we're looking for. I believe I slowed this one down, so you start seeing them come down, right? This one's italics, italics. Oh, that's no good. That one's no good. Oops, that was incorrect. I shouldn't have clicked that one. I'm really not up to date anymore on my APA format, apparently. So the idea is this will probably frustrate the heck out of you, but eventually if you do it enough, you learn how to do it. You go ahead and just crash and burn. Game over.
And that's very clever, very clever. It's a good way to learn that.
Right, because AP is so boring, and this is something you do constantly. I mean, eventually you'll pick up on APA. And so actually this I ended up making part of a larger storyline course I did on APA. So it was one part of a larger course, and I had 2 other games in there as well. So the other 2 webinars I'm doing on storyline games, I believe are both games that I made that were also part of this APA tutorial that I did.
Okay, cool.
So that's, so again, drill and practice is a way to learn really tedious things. I like to say, you know, it's more at the bottom of Bloom's pyramid in the remembering and understanding levels, if you're familiar with Bloom's. And my philosophy is that e-learning is a great place. Asynchronous e-learning is a great place to drill on the basics that you need to know to be able to do something, you know, a higher task better. So you need to know how to format the volume, issue, and page before you can create a full citation. And you need to be able to create a full citation before you can make a full citation list. The idea is, you know, this is good for building blocks that lead you up to something else.
Nice.
Oops. We're definitely not wrapping up yet. All right, so that's it for my PowerPoint. Let me go ahead and stop my share of that, and I'm going to share my full screen here. Okay, let's see. So again, in that Dropbox folder, I've got a link to the demo game, as well as, you know, a cursive link back to Dropbox, and I've got step-by-step instructions. And I just want to open this up by saying, I really recommend whenever you're working on something complicated like a game, do a save as regularly, not just a save. Of course, a save is very important. Do a save as regularly so that you have a whole catalog of versions. The idea is if you save at least, do a save as at least once a day, you could go back and reinstate things if you decide you liked a different version or something from a different version that you deleted in your new version. Or you can also recover your file if your file corrupts. So the more complicated you build something, the more likely it is to corrupt. It's really rare, I find, with Storyline, but it can happen, or your computer can crash or whatever. So save as, I like to have a file name, and then I append the year, month, day to the end of the file name so I can see which day they're from. If I have more than one in a day, I might put the time on the end or something. But this is, you know, saved my butt or made me happy a few times when I can go back and look at past versions. So, all right, I put that aside. If you have questions as I go, please stop me. Let's see, I have 2 versions of this. This is the fully built one. Yes, the fully built one. So as you can see, this project is, and again, let me know if this is like, I have a really huge computer screen, so this is too small for you. Let me know. This is just the story view and storyline. This is a 1-slide project. So it's a fully built game on only 1 slide.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that. Okay.
Right. A lot of the stuff I do is kind of hacky, so I'm kind of proud when something looks, you know, impressive, but is actually kind of a hack behind the scenes. I'm full of hacks. Okay, so this is the 1 slide. It's a base slide, of course, and then there's only 2 layers. The get ready is actually just a text box that appears at the beginning, and you can see all the little spaceships are waiting in reserve at the top of the screen here. So if we take a look at the timeline, they're all, oh, let me scroll down actually, a very large timeline. The spaceships are all in groups and they're all staggered across the timeline. So if you expand these things, you can see all the spaceships are like all over the place. And so the idea is that the whole timeline is only 2 minutes long, 120 seconds. And over the course of those 2 minutes, there's always going to be spaceships coming down, right? They all start at the top and they all go to the bottom, and that's it. So if you click on them, things happen. Either you shoot them and they go away, or they go past the bottom of the slide, and that counts as a strike against you, and you lose a life. So that's basically it. And then the player I built out just with shapes. Again, really big hack. I should
Oh.
I'm not a graphic designer. Someone can make something really beautiful. I just made this like super hacky outline here, and all this.
Yeah, you would have never guessed at all.
Thank you. Yeah, these are all the stars in here are just the star shape from the project itself. That's it. Nothing super creative. I got the spaceships were clip art from the interwebs. And I just reused them. They're probably free or cheap or something. Again, I made this forever. Okay, so that's basically the long and the short of it. I will show you now in the partially built version I have of this how to kind of build it from scratch. It does involve a ton of triggers, but it's not as complicated as it looks because you just do a lot of copying and pasting of these spaceships themselves. So I got the partially built one. Hopefully this is a partially built one.
And I'm assuming there's some variables too for the, at least for the 3 lives maybe?
Yes, yeah, there's a couple of variables. And Storyline has decided to freeze on me. Let me see.
Well, of course.
Reopen it. I know. Oh.
Oh, well, that's nice
There it
at
is.
least that, yeah. Asked you that.
All right, let's try this again. Okay, here it is. Okay, so this is the partially built version I put into that Dropbox folder. So down here you can see that the timeline only has a few things on it. It's got the the hacky player bar, and it's only got the 3 spaceships here. So if we walk through the instructions here, I mean, as always, if you're starting a new project, gather your files. I always recommend doing a flow chart or something, some sort of like on paper or in PowerPoint map out of how you want your project to look and feel, how you want it to work, how many slides there should be, just to get your thoughts organized and to save yourself some time later on, especially if you're working with variables and triggers. It really helps to plan these out in advance. All right, so again, you only need 1 slide for this project. Isn't that cool? It's kind of like a recipe online where you only need 1 ingredient. Anyway. Worst recipe ever. Potato. Potato. All right, so the layers here are already set up. Actually, I have one more in here I did set up, the ready to play. And then you set up your variables. So it's important to always set up your variables before you set up your triggers, because the triggers use the variables. So the variables are probably already in here. It's pretty easy to create a new variable. You just go over here to the right hand pane, click on that little X box there, and you can see they're already here. But if you wanted to add a new one, create a new variable, you can put in the name. You want to make lives 2 or whatever. I make these a number, and for lives, the default value would be 3 because everyone starts out with 3 lives. Of course, you can change that based on how you want to build out your own game. That's a start. And score, of course, your score starts out at 0 because your score goes up. So if you have a variable that's a number that you want it to go down, figure out where you want it to start at. That's going to be the default value that the project starts at. And then if you want something, a score to go up, you'd start at 0 automatically. And a handy way to make sure your variables are working is you can actually put them on screen, and then you can preview your project to see if they are working or not. So let me tell you what I mean. Let me show you what I mean. So say you have this little spaceship here, and it's kind of hard to see in the black background, so let's do a little red one. Let's make them bigger too, because it's hard to see. All right, so say I have the spaceship, that's gonna be part of my game. I got the 3 spaceships here. I'm gonna create a new trigger so that when my user clicks on this spaceship, they're going to get points. So that's my first thing here. Oh my God, of course I'm not seeing it. Oh, change, my brain is not fully functional. Adjust variable. All right, so it's not the the action of the user isn't first. Adjust variables, set lives are actually going to change. We're going to add 10 to the variable score when user clicks this spaceship. So you have to set the thing that is going to happen before you set what the user is supposed to do. So I want them to have 10 points when they click on this red ship. So I'm going to have them adjust the variable score by adding 10 when the user clicks. So we can make sure that this is working right now. So that's visible on my screen. Anything off the screen, your user can't see. And then I've got the score here, and I can show you how I put that in. You can actually pop over to insert. Why is this grayed out? Oh, why is it? Oh, I know why. You have to insert a text box. Like, why can't I see the reference? And I'm going to insert a reference. So reference is to a variable. So I'm going to insert the score here. And it's kind of hard to see. So you can actually, another hack of mine that I really love is you can use this little paintbrush that pops up. It's the format painter. If you click on that for something that you like. Oh, it didn't work. Come on, man. Let's try it one more time. I'm going to go to home and use this one up here. Format painter. Hey, it works. Okay. That's my favorite tool in this and in PowerPoint. You can click on something that's formatted the way you like, use that format painter, it copies the format and it'll paste it to whatever you want. And then you've got the score up here. And if you know the name of the variable, you can just type percent name of the variable and then close it off with another percent. So this is just like some kind of like really simple coding that Storyline does to indicate a variable. All right, so I want to make sure this is working. I can preview this slide. It doesn't really matter if I do the whole project or not. Hopefully it's not too long. I don't know why Storyline takes so long to preview. Oh, it's not on screen yet. It would help if I made sure that this is at the beginning of the timeline. Well, let me align to playhead. There we go. Okay, so if you don't see something on screen, it's probably because it's not there in your timeline or it has some sort of hidden state they didn't realize. There we go. All right, here it is. It is on screen. So score went up by 10 when I clicked on it, click on it again. It just keeps going. Obviously in our game, we're not gonna make it so our ships are static because that would be the world's easiest game. Oh, you can see the animation is in there somewhere. But this is again to be a very easy version of this game. It's moving very slowly. So again, think about your target audience.
Is that a motion path then?
It is actually just an animation, so I'm getting ahead of myself, my step-by-step instructions. But again, my big hack, so you know, I showed you my original file where I had all the spaceships loaded at the top. All I do is use animations. I use the fly out animations, and I put the duration up on the top here, so 15 seconds. I can't remember why I chose 15 seconds, but one of my steps I list in my create your own thing is I put test, test it and test it. You know, before you put a whole lot of effort into making all of the spaceships, start with just your 3 base, you know, types of spaceships. So no matter how many types you want to have, build out one of each type and preview each one and make sure they're working correctly in a way that you want them to work. So I can't remember why I did 15 seconds. Probably because each one is supposed to be on screen for like 25 seconds, but you know, it starts above the screen. And what I found is this fly out animation, it starts out kind of slow and then it moves faster as it completes. So that's something to think about as you are choosing your animation, choosing the timing of your animation, do a lot of testing, figure out how long you want your item to be on screen. Also consider that, you know, my big hack is I just position them off screen. And then whenever they start on the timeline and that animation begins, then they just slowly kind of go whoosh down the screen and the user has to click on them or not. So again, a lot of testing, figuring out if that's going to work for you or not. All right, so far I have done my red spaceship, I put it on screen. I made it so if you click on it, it adds 10 to the score. If you look over my step-by-step instructions again, I'm sure I missed things, by the way. I typed this out yesterday. Let's see, so add only one of each of your spaceship types. I forgot to say, name them something useful like red ship, big ship, small ship, whatever it is. And then add the triggers for each spaceship before you move on. So I did the first one already. Oh yes, the next one's really important. If someone clicks on it, right now they can keep on clicking on it, right? You can just jack up that score forever and it's not really much of a game. So I want to change state of the ship to hidden when the user clicks. So I've already got this selected. Make sure your ship is selected. Click the new trigger again. And I'm going to change state of this ship to hidden when user clicks the same ship. Okay, and so now you can see this trigger has appeared below. So make sure that's, you know, in the order it needs to be. So when they click on it, it's going to add 10, and then it's going to hide so they can't keep clicking on it, and so that it doesn't have any further effect. I didn't load any audio files here. My audio is a little bit lacking in my demo file. I spent a lot of time looking for audio, but as with a lot of projects I'm sure you've experienced, it can be really hard to find the exact media that works really well for you and your project. So I did the best with, you know, my time and my desire to find something good. But you can also play an audio when the user clicks the ship. So if you want to do that, you just add a new trigger and look for play media, I believe.
Oh, yeah, I haven't played with that on my storyline. So we do it again. So you have an audio file. So first you have to have the audio file, right?
You do, and so you can just do,
Okay.
you can find the audio file itself and put it in, or you can also record from your mic.
Okay.
I wonder if it'll let me record something while I'm doing a Zoom. Let's find out. Is it working? Let's try. Bang. Yes, it's gonna be the most annoying audio file. All right, so play media audio once. It'll automatically save the audio file if you record from your mic when the user clicks. So it's gonna play the media when the user clicks. All right, so that's my third trigger. So it's gonna add 10 to the score. It's gonna change it to hidden. It's gonna play the audio. What was the next step? Oh yeah. And then most importantly, if the user does not click it because it's moving too fast, there's too many ships, whatever, what makes this a game is there has to be some sort of peril. And the peril is that we're going to lose a life when the timeline ends on the spaceship if the state of the spaceship is normal, that is not hidden. So we know if the user's been successful because the spaceship will be hidden because they will have clicked on it. So I'll move this off to the side again. So
Wait, I have a question. Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm trying to. So okay, can you repeat it? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I'm getting it, because that was one I was wondering. I was thinking it was like a hotspot and then it changes or something. So when the
so the user clicks on it and adds to the score and it hides it. And so that's a success scenario. The fail scenario is if the user does not click on it. If they do not click on it, it remains normal. It finishes its timeline.
so when the timeline ends.
On the
then
object itself, yeah.
on
So
the
if it reaches,
object. Oh, okay, that was what I was missing. Okay, that makes sense.
yeah. So if it reaches the
Thank
end
you.
of its like 19 seconds here and it's still normal and not hidden, that means it's made it to the bottom of the screen without being clicked. So I never have to program like, oh, if it makes it to the bottom of the screen, do something. I'm just going for if it
Yeah, it's way
flies,
easier.
yeah, if it flies out, it reaches the end of its timeline, and that means if it's not hidden, they didn't click on it, so they should lose a life.
Okay.
So again, select your spaceship, add that trigger. We are going to adjust a variable. We're going to subtract 1 from the variable lives when the timeline ends on this same ship. Oh, if we have to make it a little more complicated. If is our first condition in a variable. If
its state is still
the object itself, as is one ship small, and it'll hover over what the object is, which is really helpful to make sure you're clicking the right one. If the ship is normal, because again, if they're successful, the ship is hidden. So if the ship is not hidden, if the ship is normal, which is the default state, that means it's reached the end of its timeline without being clicked on or shot. So that means that they should have value 1 subtracted from their life because it's reached the bottom of the screen without them clicking on it. Okay, so let's test this out. I'll take my own advice. I'm gonna do let's do a 6-second timeline on this. I'm gonna go and adjust the animation because right now the animation duration is 15 seconds. So that'll mean I'll probably get like halfway across the screen and just disappear, which is undesirable. Let's give it a 5-second duration. All right, we'll see how fast my finger is. And I'm also going to position it off the screen here, maybe just at the top so I can see it. And I'll bring it to front too, just so I can see it. Later on, of course, you know, of all these hacky shapes that make up the player, those should be brought to front, and your spaceships should be pushed to the back, so it looks like, you know, they're behind and they're just like in the stars somewhere. All right, so I'm going to try this out. Double check my animation. It's 6 seconds long. It's a 5-second animation, and I've got all of my triggers set up how I think they should be. Let's try this out. All right, there it is. I'm gonna wait till it moves to click on it. Ah, here we go. Did you hear the?
I heard it, yeah.
All right, now I clicked on it and I have no idea why it reappeared at the top of the screen. That's a bad thing. I don't know why I did that.
Okay.
Because it's supposed to.
Maybe this something with the state. Or did it restart it?
It's 2 states. Hidden is built in.
Oh, it's a built. Okay.
Yeah, it's a built-in state. So, well, maybe I'll take the animation off of it. I'll try previewing one more time. This is another it's a good thing to demonstrate when you're building out something. There's always something where you're just like, what?
Now it works.
I think I'm so funny. It's the worst. All right. All right, so I can see that worked. So something about the animation. Let's try the fly out again. Let's give it another, I don't know, 5 seconds. And maybe there's a reason I had on such a long animation on the first one. To bottom. Okay, make sure it's flying out to the bottom, which means it'll just go like the bottom of the screen. Let's try one more time. And hopefully it works. And it's just some sort of weird glitch. If this doesn't work, it's gonna be a lousy game. All right, it's moving.
Oh yeah, it's like it's resetting.
That's really weird. This is a terrible demonstration.
Could be storyline. Let's blame it on
Let's
storyline.
blame it on storyline. Huh, that's really interesting.
Yeah, like why would it start over? It's probably something with the, yeah, well, it doesn't happen with the animation, so it's something with the animation.
It has to be something with the animation, which is weird because it worked in the original version. So I'm going to open up my original version and inspect one of the spaceships and see if I can't figure that out really fast. Again, terrible demo here. All right, this is my original one. I've got like a lot of groups and stuff in here. So subtract 1 if the state of. All right, so I also always want to investigate the order of the triggers. So we got the value added to score. It's going to change it to hidden. It plays the audio. I believe it's the same order. Subtract 1 from live, so timeline ends if the state of the ship equals normal.
Yeah, I know.
That looks correct. So I got the same thing. Add value to 10. We can actually compare here.
Yeah, the file and yeah. Oh, what was the time? Yeah, maybe it is something with the time.
Yeah. What is this? Show me that. Okay, so here it is. Add 10 to score, and then click, change it to hidden, play audio, subtract 1 from lives and timeline ends if the state equals normal. Yeah, let's check out the animation here. So that one, I don't know where it is down here. Fly out duration 12 goes to bottom.
Okay. Oh, how long is the file? That particular shape.
See if we can find it in here.
Yeah.
Oh, there's too many things in here. Oh, here it is. Oh, okay. Long.
Okay.
Oh, this is another short. It's really hard to figure out which is the best way. Oh, here it is. Okay. So it goes from about 17, so it's about 21 seconds long, and then the flyout animation is 12 seconds. I know the original version of this works. Demoed it, but who knows? Okay, well, we can always try like a fresh icon or something. Actually, you know what we could do?
Or try the blue one or the green, maybe?
Yeah, I could try a different spaceship. I think I also just may skip those for a minute. Maybe I'll just try a Let's call this like a flying saucer. Here you go.
There
Flying
we go.
saucer now. Let's make it orange, extra visible. I'm gonna copy these triggers and paste them onto this object. Did that work? Probably not. One. Let's call this flying saucer. Just trying to paint those. Oh, I pasted onto itself.
Oh, yeah, show me what you're doing again.
All right, so just like you can copy and paste a format, you can also copy and paste triggers.
Oh,
so select the item that has the triggers you want to copy and paste. So this has the triggers. So you go up here to the triggers pane, click copy the selected triggers. When you click on it, automatically all of them are selected. So I'm going to copy that, and then I'm going to click on the new object that I want the triggers to be on, and click paste. Ah, it worked this time.
Okay.
And you can see that automatically Storyline's pretty smart. It changed everything to the object we have at hand. Oval 1, oval 1, oval 1, oval 1, instead of small ship, whatever. Displaying saucer. All right. And then let's take the length of this. Don't need it to be as long as the entire project. I'll use this as a new test object. If this one doesn't work, I'm just going to be like, well, not posting this recording. Listen to this awful presentation where nothing worked. Okay.
I'm still learning stuff, so
yeah,
makes me feel better when I try to make something that's like, oh, this isn't working.
I've had people say they appreciate watching me troubleshoot, so they know that, like, this is normal. No one's infallible. We're all subject to the whims of our software. Okay, let's try this again. It's 5 seconds long. There's no animation on it. Oh, actually, the red space is going to move too. Okay. Just the same thing. Well, when the spaceship went off screen, it did lower the life, so at least I know that works. All right, so let's just move that out of my way for a minute because I just want to look at the flying saucer. Let's add animation to this one and see if it works or not. So let's also make that a long animation, like at 5 seconds. So it's timeline 6 seconds long. We'll make that 5 seconds again. It's going to go to the bottom. So when I click on it, it hides. Theoretically, it should. We'll see. All right, so it starts moving. It does the same thing. That is really strange.
Is it fly in or fly out? Maybe
fly
is that
out, because flying in is an entrance animation. Fly out is an exit. So I mean,
okay.
There's ways around this. I could do a motion path instead. So maybe let's try that. Oops, I haven't done a motion path in a while. Whoa. I'm obviously very inexperienced at doing motion pads. Oops. That's what I want to do. I'll move this off screen. All right. So let's try this. Duration is going to be 5 seconds. Maybe it's the type of animation that's causing storyline to glitch. If this really doesn't work, I'll just move on and we'll figure out if other people can do it or not. It's just my version. Oh, okay, that worked. So apparently the fly out animation doesn't work, but if you do a motion path, that'll work.
Okay.
Why? I don't know. I don't know, but that's okay. If it works, it works, and that makes me happy. All right, so I got flying saucer, I got a red spaceship that's over here. I don't need to belabor this. I've got a whole step-by-step guide. All right, let's go back to the guide. So you can't use the fly out. Let's scratch that. Strike that out. Motion path. I'll have to amend my Dropbox guide there. Use a motion path.
Okay.
And below your player. So then, yeah, from here, lengthen timeline for each spaceship. Again, test it out, put them all on the screen in the same place. You can maybe test them all out together. Preview, click each spaceship. Are they working correctly? Yes, it's important. I did a lot of testing. If you build out this whole thing without testing it, you could be like, oh, wow, like I have 1,000 spaceships and now all of them are reappearing when I click them. That would be a nightmare. Oh, boy. So it's better to discover those glitches now. Yeah, fly out doesn't work anymore for whatever reason. That's okay. Motion path seems to work. And so now I can build out my other spaceships as well. Once again, I'm going to copy and paste the triggers. This is my original red spaceship here. I've already selected it. I'm going to click the copy button, and I'm going to select my purple spaceship. I'm going to paste those triggers. Oh, but I don't have the motion path built, and that's actually a trigger. So I'm gonna undo what I just did, and you know what? No, I'm gonna redo. Back and forth. I'm just going to have to build up a motion path from scratch. I'll just delete that, add the
It
motion
doesn't
path.
copy the motion path.
Yeah, it's not copying the motion path, which is
Oh,
great.
okay.
I'll build it out. So new. I mean, if you want to get fancy too, since we're doing a motion path, you can be like, it's gonna be
I know, I
exciting.
was thinking that, it's like, oh, motion path has more things you can do.
Yeah, how hard do you want to make it? Totally up to you. All right, so I'll click on that. Oops, again, make sure you add 10. This is the ship big, play audio 1, subtract value 1, move it along the motion path when the timeline starts. Oh yeah, and you make sure the oh, I never cleared the original animation. Motion path, let's make that I don't know, 4 seconds. Oh, I also need to move this to the beginning of the timeline, or I'll never be able to test it without waiting for like a full minute sitting here. Okay, there it is. Okay, so let's put that, I don't know. Let's make that 10 seconds long so when I test this. Anyways, yeah, they should all be staggered at least, so we can click on them. All right, last one, same thing. You can copy the triggers from a previous existing one, click in a new object, paste the triggers. I'll go ahead again, delete the motion path and add in a new motion path. There we go. So it ends below here. Delete the original animation and change this animation to, I don't know, 4 seconds again. And then that's that. And then make sure again, because I am reusing an existing file, make sure these are all someplace where I can actually find them. Okay, so let us, you know, save as. Good time to do a save as, everybody. Let's go ahead and preview this. All right, oh, they'll go at once. And then they are gone. Okay, so what I'm seeing is that the lives are taking a minute to go down. So the motion path functions differently than the fly out animation I had.
Oh, okay.
The motion path is apparently going as soon as the timeline starts on the object. It's really cool, the motion path. So there are a lot more direction or more options here for making it custom to what you want. So that's kind of fun. But anyways, so I think what you'd have to do is for the motion path, you'd probably have to make it the same duration as the timeline on the object. So it just immediately starts moving down the screen and it's really even. This is where testing really comes into play. And I'm not going to, you know, belabor this by forcing you to watch me play with that after forcing you to watch me figure out what's going wrong so many times. This is where testing really comes into play. So you wouldn't want to build out anything else until you test this out and things are working the way you expect them to and you want them to. But I did see that the lives did go down to 0 when everything, when the timeline ended on everything. That motion path, that animation just wasn't happening when I would like it to. So if I was building this out for reals, I would spend some more time figuring out what's going on and fix all of that. Okay, so I got a few more items here. So of course, when it's go time, what you can do is you can move your spaceships, just move them above here, and you can see the motion paths will have to be readjusted accordingly. Once you do that, you can actually just copy and paste these a whole bunch. You'd move them around up here. What I did in my original file is I copy and pasted each one a whole bunch, and then I started grouping them together so that then I could take that whole group and like move it around on the timeline and they would all go. So within that group, I would like stagger it, and then I would move the group around so all the groups are staggered. Some groups, depending on the order, I'd make, you know, the timeline shorter so that they would go faster, so that, you know, just like an old timey, I should say old timey, just like a vintage arcade game, it gets harder as the time goes on, right? So at first you're always like, this is really easy, I got this, and it's going faster. Like, oh, it's got a challenge now. Then you're like, oh my god, there's too many ships. So think about, you know, what kind of feeling you want to recreate for your players and act accordingly. Copying and pasting, grouping things together makes it super easy. Once everything's built out, just, you know, copy and paste is your best friend.
I have a question. So you said you group them. So like you would take all of these and turn them like Control G into a group, or you just, so like if you had all the,
So if I had them all built out, yeah, I would just, okay, so this one, I want a red one, I want an orange one, I want a purple one, say I have a whole bunch of these. I'm lazy, always right click, group, and then it is grouped here on the timeline, and then you can take the whole group and just move it around.
oh, okay, I see. And then you leave it grouped, or you ungroup it and then,
Leave it, I would just leave it, doesn't matter, just leave it grouped. The behavior
Okay.
stays the same for each item within the group itself. So you can see if you open up the group, you can see each item here. You can move them around within the group if it's not timing the right way.
oh, I see. And then you can also stagger them up on top
Yes.
so that they're not falling all at the same time. Okay.
Yes,
All right.
exactly.
Very cool. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so yeah, when you stagger them on the timeline, they'll fall at different times because they're not all going to have the same start on their timeline.
Okay.
And you can also move them around like within the group itself. Like if you have like a whole bunch of red ships, you can move the red ships so they're not on top of each other. Let's move that one and move the motion path. It's a little bit more challenges with the motion path and the fly out. But yeah, grouping makes your life easier for moving around physically on the screen and also for staggering them on the timeline, so that by the time you've built out the whole thing, you've got really good distribution the way you like it of all your spaceships throughout the whole like 2 minutes. So you also have to decide how long you want your game to last. I made it last only 2 minutes. And so then I made sure that I had groups across the entire, I made sure I had groups across the entire timeline from left to right. There's always something on screen. There's a lot of testing that goes into play, as you can imagine.
Oh yeah.
All right, so, okay. So I already showed you basically my player is just one big hack. These are just shapes. I'm not gonna win any.
I just realized what the
design
tiny shapes were for the corners.
Yeah,
Because you have the double corners.
they're the corners. So it's also
like, oh.
Yeah, and then again, you want to make sure that the ships are, send to back, send everything to back to make sure that they're layering behind the player and they come through behind. I did put in directions for the player as well.
Oh, nice.
If you go into, there's always that default player in storyline, which doesn't make it look very fun or video game like. So if you head to home tab and then player, you have lots of options here. I recommend unchecking all of these, like a default to having the menu open, a default to having resources, uncheck all of that, uncheck captions. I mean, come on, there's no, well, I guess you could do captions.
Bang. It can say bang. I'm teasing you.
Yeah, bang. And then Lindsay says bang. It's just a regular voice. That's my next version, the deranged version. I spent too long playing with this, and this is what you have to show for it. I always like to scale player to fill browser window. And what's fun is you can also change the color and effects of the player bar. So you can choose a page background. I did like a charcoal kind of color, and then I changed the color scheme to black so that I don't have the thing open anymore. That's what gives it the kind of like special. Let me see if I can go back to my PowerPoint. That's what gives it the special kind of like seamless look. Oh, that's not what I want. I clicked in very much the wrong thing. Let's try this one more time. So just to refer back to the demo. So this doesn't, it looks like storyline, but it doesn't like look like storyline because you have the different background here. And actually, if you make the background, if I made this background black, this would basically be seamless. I remember there might be a couple of weird things, but anyways, so play around with your background design and make your player look the way you want and get rid of all the next buttons, the back buttons. You only have one slide, you don't need them. You can build in any navigation you need onto the screen itself. Okay. What else? 7:46.
Oh, I have a question. So then
Yeah,
the
go
let's go, you might be covering it next. The let's go button is just starting the timeline, right?
I believe so. Yeah, I think I had, like I said, I have too many versions. Yeah, so what I think I had on that version was that when the timeline starts on the project, it shows the layer get ready, I think. And the get ready layer has the let's go button. Because, when you load something, you don't want just to start going because someone might be like, oh, I'm still getting my coffee. I was just like loading this right now. I wasn't ready to start playing yet. So it'll load that get ready layer, which will automatically pause the base layer. And then when they click let's go, it'll hide that layer and go back to the base layer, and then the game will start.
Okay.
And of course, I also build in kind of like a pause at the beginning too, so the spaceships like take a minute before they come down, so the user has a chance to be like, oh, this is what's happening, and get ready to start like clicking or poking on them. Okay, what else? We're almost out of time here. More testing. I think I put this like 3 times in my directions. Copying and pasting, we talked about that. Do a save as, keep testing. So that's basically it for this. I have 2 more layers. The game over layer is triggered from, I don't know where it's triggered from. Oh, I thought maybe I didn't build it out yet.
Is it a variable?
No, what I did was, so game over would be, let's build one out together. We're going to show the layer game over when the variable, when the lives variable changes, if the lives variable changes to 0. The variable changes. There it is. Okay. So if they lose 3 spaceships or whatever your threshold is below the bottom of the player, if the timeline ends on those 3 spaceships, meaning that 3 have sneaked past you, those are your 3 lives. So that means it'll go from 3 to 1 to 0. Every time it changes, this trigger pings to see if the condition is right or not. Once it reaches the condition lives equals 0, then it's going to show the layer game over.
Okay.
And the layer game over, I have a play again button, which is a special trigger called restart course. That's built into storyline. You can just create a new trigger and find restart course in here, right here, restart course. When the user clicks button 1. That's basically it. And I had this. Oh yeah, I built it again. This was like 7 or 8 years ago when I was still on Twitter. I custom built a tweet this button so you could like tweet your score. I can't remember how I did it, but that's in the file too. That's something that really intrigues you.
Is that like a Java thing?
Is it a what?
Like Java code or something?
No.
Oh wow.
Oh, I don't remember how I did this or what.
That's right. I actually, I Twitter was not my generation, so I don't.
For a while, I got bored of it. And then mission complete. Mission complete layer will show once the timeline ends on the base layer side. So kind of like with the spaceships, if the timeline ends on the spaceship, then you lose a life, because obviously you haven't clicked on them. If the timeline ends on the base layer, that means like, oh my gosh, you stayed alive to the very end. Therefore, mission complete appears. Congratulations, you did it. There's no more shifts to shoot, I guess. Yeah, and like I said, this game was unwinnable, so I don't think I even bothered building this out because no one would ever reach there anyways. This is one of those like, just for fun projects anyways. Yeah, so that's how those 2 would appear. And then, you can go into the what's it called? Settings of each layer. This bottom button down here, hide other layers. You can pause timeline of base layer. You can choose not to pause the timeline of the base layer, whatever you want. Just remember that those layer properties are here if you wanted to mix things up. So I think that is it from me. Oh yeah, my final step was put it on your portfolio, publish to Google Cloud Storage or whatever, and put it on your portfolio. So that's basically it. Again, you can use it for learning purposes. You can use this project as a springboard for learning triggers and variables and what they do and how to make stuff cooler with triggers and variables. And as a reminder, let's revisit the original version one more time just so you can remember how it all looked in action. This again was a different animation. Oh, here's my Are You Ready slide. Yeah, so this is a layer, the Are You Ready layer. You click Let's Go, then it's going to hide this layer, unpause the base layer, and then the game begins. So this goes away. There's the anticipation, and then the ships start appearing, and you can click on them. I know that the sound is terrible. Oh, I did not show you how to program the audio when they crash at the very bottom.
Oh.
So loud. And again, the game over layer appears when lives reaches 0. So the only thing I didn't show you was how to do the audio, but that would just be when timeline ends on each item.
Oh, object or item.
Yeah, I can show you that here. One, oh, it's so tiny. Oh, where is that? Play audio and the user clicks. Oh, you know what I did? I might have done a simpler version. Instead of putting that onto every single spaceship, I think that I programmed it. Oh, yeah. Whenever lives changes, the variable changes, it plays the audio. So the lives variable only changes if the ship has reached the bottom and, like, you know, you want it to make that explosion sound. So instead of tying that to the spaceship, you can actually tie that to the variable. So that when the variable changes, it goes kapow.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah, again, I mean, like, I always like to reiterate, there's a million ways to get the effect you want in storyline or Captivate. It's just one way to do it. I can make this simpler too. I don't need to actually have 3 variables that do this. I could just say, if life changes, play the audio, because obviously it's gonna, you know, only change 3 times. I actually don't need 3 variables at all. I can just have 1. So yeah, that's it.
Oh, wow.
We are, well, a few minutes away from time. Appreciate you all joining me for this. I'll go ahead and stop the recording. Let's see here. Oh, I'll put up the URL here one more time. tinyurl.com/Galaga-Storyline if you want the fully built out project file or the partially built one, as well as my step-by-step. Thank you all for watching this recording.
Yes. Oh yeah, thank you. I don't have a lot of experience with the gamification, so I was kind of like, is this something